Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. I want to talk today a little bit about the trickster energy. And the first thing that the trickster energy does is it makes you aware of oppositional figures and adversarial confrontations in your life. And it hates restraints to its freedom. And isn't that like how we all are? We don't want anyone to tell us what to do, what we can't do. In fact, there's something irreverent about the trickster that almost borders on the divine, and people who take themselves or their disciplines too seriously will find that the trickster shoots holes in pomposity and grandiosity and arrogance. And yet the post-tribal vision has to include the possibility that we're going to have to re-experience reverence for everything. And so that's an interesting idea what the trickster does, because we don't like the aspects of the trickster as they come across in stories, which are funny in one way, but you see the trickster is also willing to cheat, to deceive, to disguise, to camouflage, to shapeshift, to use ingenuity, guile, daring. And those are important qualities in one way, although in some ways they break the mold and they seem to go beyond the rules that most people obey. Nonetheless, one of the things that the trickster will also teach you is to learn who do you admire. When it comes to the different genders, what man or woman or role model develops those qualities that are admirable that you would like to emulate yourself? Who do you think of when you're in a tight spot? The people who come up in your mind, those are the ones who represent for you embodiments of personality attributes. And so really important to understand those driving forces, those influencers in your life. And of course, everything we're doing is about creating what I would call the second birth, the sacred encounter at the edge, the boundary where the ordinary stops and the transmundane begins. And so a lot of this has to do with the way you're going to comport yourself, the way you're going to work in life. So one of the things that you learn is love as an effortless, it's all fun, is a fantasy. The value of the lover is unquestioned, but it doesn't stand alone. It needs support by your inner royal monarch, by your inner warrior who's willing to commit to a transpersonal end and stay faithful, and to your inner wise person, the one that sees and initiates you into sacred space. So all of this leads to why I practice yoga, because yoga is something that helps me balance what I would consider my workload with my spiritual life. It gives me knowledge to go ahead. It helps me understand how to model myself after what's a proven success. It teaches me to learn what others have endured, so I'm less overwhelmed by what I have to face. It teaches me to conduct my life in a worthy manner of being imitated, worthy of imitation. It convinces me that externals are not what's important, but developing inner value and personal growth is. It teaches me to look for things which are real, like sincerity in friends, something that we expect from one another, but we demand it from ourselves. So if what you are matches what you say, your life will be filled with powerful force for good. So I suggest that we all get to this deep critical level before we try to send it out to other people. Like Dylan says, I'll know my song well before I start singing. So the trickster function in you is to help you bring out whatever is missing. The good news is you got it. You're a chip off the old block. You're born already with a spark of the divine in you. The bad news is you got to work to develop it. It's only an embryonic form. It's not a given. It's not a guarantee. There's plenty of ways that you can sabotage yourself, plenty of obstacles on the path. But the idea is you can develop your character. You can develop maturity. That means you can be an ambassador for the will to good once you take this path on with sincerity. So, as it says in the Bible, go thou and do likewise.